Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. We're coming to you from the market site in Times Square, New York. Joining me for this segment, we have Flavio Manzi. He's the president of IGWT Block. We're going to take a look at leveraging blockchain technology to develop a mobile phone ecosystem. Flavio, welcome to the market site. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's learn more about IGWT Block's mission and how you're tapping into mobile phone markets.
Thank you for having me. So IGWT, we're being backed by PCS Wireless, which is a very large distributor of mobile phones. The business that we're in is a very, very inefficient business. So just to give you an idea, when you hand in an old phone to get credit to purchase a new phone, that old phone is going to be touched and owned by about 7 companies before it reaches its new owner. This increases the cost dramatically, just very, very inefficient.
Yep. Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're trying to minimize that, disintermediate the business by leveraging blockchain. So the idea is if we can have historical data of a mobile phone from the moment it is purchased, then run diagnostics on it so know exactly what is the condition of that phone as time goes by. So when a new buyer wants to purchase a phone, they can just go direct to the source, direct to the owner of the phone, know exactly the condition of the phone, have a very clear idea of what the value of that phone is, and therefore the seller is going to get a better price for it, while the buyer is going to pay a lower price for it.
All right, now Tessa B, how are you using blockchain to tap into that mobile phone business? Is this Tessa B is what allows this to happen?
Exactly. So Tessa B is the blockchain platform that we're developing, where all of this data will be stored. So as you know from blockchain, you create these records that are immutable. So if you run the diagnostics of your phone, that information is then put in Tessa B in the blockchain. Nobody can change it. Nobody can alter it. So when I, as a buyer, access it, I can see exactly what it is without anybody being able to handle it in any bad way. So that's basically what the Tessa B blockchain platform will allow. Also, we can introduce, and just as a quick comment, this is a $20 billion business today.
Oh, wow.
The used mobile phone. So it's huge, growing at a higher pace than the general overall mobile phone industry, which is a $500 billion industry. So the opportunities are huge. And what we're trying to do is leverage not only the historical data of the phones, but also, since we know the condition of them through the Tessa B, and all of this is information that is posted in the blockchain, so we can then access it and, for example, offer you a protection plan for your phone. So I know what the condition is. It doesn't have to be brand new, and I can offer you a protection plan that if you break your phone, if the phone doesn't work anymore, you can get a replacement for it. And again, just knowing through technology what the condition of your phone is takes away any risk, takes away any lack of trust. So if I tell you what it is, it is. You don't have to trust me. You just go to the blockchain, check the results. That's it. Information is out there, it's posted, available to anyone that participates in the blockchain, in the industry, the ecosystem that we're building.
How did you come up with this concept?
So we've been in the business of reverse logistics of phone distribution for almost 20 years. We are a $2.4 billion company, and we've identified the number of just inefficiencies that are out there. We've been trying to tackle some of them through the use of software, through the use of different technologies, investments that we made in different technologies. And then we ran into blockchain, we started learning about it, and we said, this really sort of brings everything together. It brings the technology that is giving you the condition of the phone. It brings the technology that brings you the physical condition of the phone. It reduces the need to be moving products back and forth, up and down. It can bring together peer-to-peer. It can enable peer-to-peer where you can sell the phone to me, I can sell the phone to you. We don't have to go through these 7 companies, we being one of them. So ultimately what we're doing is we are tackling the inefficiencies of the industry, and if we're successful, bringing ourselves out of business. That's ultimately what we believe we can do. And we've been just looking at the industry over the years, learning it, understanding it, and trying to figure out how do we make it more efficient, how do we help the consumer.
It seems like anytime you need to process a transaction or anything that utilizes a contract, blockchain can be in the middle of that process and eliminate a lot of these outliers. It sounds like that's what the technology really can be used for.
Exactly, and if you know, I'm sure you know better than I do, one of the terminologies within blockchain is the smart contract.
Mm-hmm, yep.
That's really what it does. It is a contract that is smart enough that it doesn't need anybody to be reading it and to make sure, oh, party A did cover what party A was supposed to do, then party B can get paid. This is done automatically by computers that are processing these transactions around the world. So, for example, going back to the phones, if you want to buy my phone, I run the diagnostics of my phone, I put it up in the blockchain, you pay for it. The funds are not liberated to me until you get the phone, you run the same diagnostics. If the two results match through a smart contract, automatically then those funds are deposited to me because we both, sort of the smart contract was fulfilled from both sides. If there's any discrepancy, that's when Tessa B, as a sort of administrator of the entire ecosystem, will come in and try to help solve whatever the discrepancy might be.
So have you launched Tessa B yet?
So we are launching at the beginning of September. Our first product that will be commercial, that would be where we will start issuing the smart contracts, offering the protection plans and selling devices, purchasing devices, doing trade-ins, etc. That will be launched in September. It's glide.com, and people will hopefully go visit and start playing around with the blockchain ecosystem for mobile phones.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you have a 20-year background as a telecom executive, as you mentioned before. You seem to be really excited about this. This seems to be the future in the telecom space.
You know, I think it's the future for everything. I actually believe the way that I look at it, I think blockchain, as you just mentioned, it seems that everything that has to do with transactions will leverage blockchain. It's early, in its early stages, in its infancy, so we don't know exactly how it is going to develop, who's going to be sort of the leading standard within the blockchain world. But I think that getting into it early is very valuable. I believe that like any technology, you are going to see very dramatic changes as we go forward. And we are building it in a flexible enough way where we can accommodate whatever is developed over the next years. I had the pleasure of participating in telecom many, many years ago when we were building the technology that allowed the transmission of data. Back when we were building it, people were criticizing our founder and who came out and said, you know, the future of mobile wireless communications is going to be data. Today, clearly, he was right. And we're very passionate about it. It was really a technology that disrupted the business of telecommunications in general. I believe this is sort of the same. It holds the same potential, blockchain as a whole. And we're starting at what we know, which is telecommunications, it's mobile phones, that's the business that we understand. We see what the impact in our business is, but we envision that it will impact a lot of transactional, contractual, financial services, logistics providers, anything that earns value by being able to know the history of the product from seed to the moment that it is a product that is sitting at a shelf. So that's phenomenally valuable.
And I can't tell you how many different guests I've had on my show from different sectors, all utilizing this technology, and it all comes back to the consumer and contracts. Flavio, thank you so much for joining us on Trade Talks. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.